Good morning again. This is Rabbi Shlomo first at Yeshiva Tsama Nafshi here in Yerushalyim, HaKodesh, located in the Beit Knesset of Kaneki Yeshiva on Rehov Zipin Yaakov number 6. We're learning now a Nefesh HaChaim. This is Rabbi Levitt's shir. I am temporarily substituting for him. He's taking care of some important business for the Yeshiva right now at this moment, and we'll be continuing in Shar Aleph and Perik Vav, in the middle of Perik Vav of Nefesh HaChaim. Just as a little background, what we've been discussing is as follows: the creation of Adam and his place in the spiritual and physical universe, and the role that he plays through his using his free will. Okay, so now let's see what the Macabre has to teach us about that. The paragraph beginning Avu Ikur Shel Davar. The primary point of the matter is as follows. Yeah, go please.
About Ikar Shel Davar, the Ikar, the essential, the primary Shel Davar is Kihu Yisparach Shemon, that Shachar Shavar Kol Ha'olam Shahu Yisparach Shemon, because he, a blessed name, after he created all the worlds, all the worlds. We're saying there are many worlds that Hashem created.
Especially in the Sefer Nefesh HaChaim speaks about many different worlds. They not simply just fit many different physical worlds, but many different spiritual worlds as well.
Or as Adam Ochor Lama separations, he created Adam, man, Ochor after Maas separations, after the creation of the earth.
Meaning like lastly.
Ochor, yes. Ochor, last thing was creation of man.
Adam was, as I mentioned last time, we were speaking just about chasana. The classic mashal analogy is, as I mentioned last time, we have a chasana. So the morning of the wedding date, so usually the cleaning crew comes in, from the wedding from last night. They sweep the floors, right? They clear up the tables, clean up the chairs, put everything in order. Right, they get everything so it can stand from the leftovers from last night, and they get the room in order. Then the caterer usually comes in, starts preparing whatever food needs to be made for the Sudas Chasana. Then later on, the linen people come in to decorate the tables, and then they'll have the florist come in, right? And the band will come in after that, right? Then after all that's set up and ready to go, then the guests may start coming in. Last but not least are the Chassan and Kala, right? So likewise, the HaKodesh Baruch Hu made the whole world for Adam and Kala, and they were the last ones to come in when everything was ready for them, just like the Chassan and Kala come in last to the hall for their wedding day.
But does everybody know who was the caterer other than the husband's husband?
If it was the Nachash,
Was the caterer?
he served the Eitz Das.
Oh, good point. But that was after the Chasana, wasn't it?
It says Hashem made the bracha on wine.
Well, there are some caterers that can be compared to Nafshi.
No. That's I need to throw us off.
Denigrate.
No. That's it. Okay.
Maria Nifla. He after Maas separations, he created Adam a magnificent creation. Koach u'ma'aseh kol ha'machanos. The power, the strength to ma'aseh, to osef is to gather all ha'machanos.
That is a good question. This is a reference to things which I'm not so familiar with, to tell you the truth, but I'll try to take a guess.
The Adam has a koach.
What's the Bri Nifla that has the koach ma'asif? He is the koach that is gathered with the core matter from all the different camps, meaning from everything that's been created previously, right? Adam has all the koachas of everything that's been created. Simply, one of the ways we explain and understand the reason that Adam Rishon was created last, because everything had to be created and set into order first, and then Adam would have aspects of all the other things that were created previously were incorporated into himself.
Koach Ma'asef is what was gathered. Not that he gathered, but
Koach HaMaaseh.
that was gathered for him.
For him, right. From all the machinas, from all the different aspects.
Kalal, Bo, Tol,
Tzachos.
Oros, that encompass, included, they'll call Hatzachos, or the Tzachos, or what are the lights, not the
Tzachos are the
sparks, like
the ethereal auros, they're the ethereal lights.
Niflaos, the
What is
magnificent.
Shekalal?
Shekoilo, that incorporates. When the Shekoilo incorporated within Adam, right? Call it Tzachos auros, all the ethereal auros, lights, niflos that are magnificent.
All of us are eternal. All Elyonim, which are included in them.
Right,
Tocham,
Elyonim Shekadnu Lo, that they
to be included.
Yeah, that they are included, the Elyonim, the Hechalim, Elyonos, that they the higher, that they come to, I think it's like they come to their completion. The Elyonim, the higher ones come to their conclusion or their fruition that what came previous to him. Those things which were previous to him, they now, with his creation, have their calling, they have their completeness, right? Even though they came before him, but they were now achieving their completeness with the creation of Adam.
I think he's talking about the Oros and the Niflos.
Yeah.
The magnificent lights and sparks of energy that are eternal are in them from higher level and preceding them. So Adam is the self, like the conclusion of all the wonderful sparks of energy, etc., etc. Sparks of energy is a little bit Kabbalistic, isn't it?
It's all safe as Kabbalistic.
Because I know some people who don't know for this.
Why don't they go for it?
Huh?
Why don't they go for it? Why don't they go
Because
for it?
they're not past 40.
Okay.
And I'm not past 40 either, so I don't know. But I know some people, I have some relatives, that they talk about the Ruchos and the Kabbalistic, the Zohar, and they go into it so deeply. And I said, I've been around a while, but I never learned so deeply, and they find so much hope and so much inspiration. And as they say, Kol Kavod, that motivates you, makes you close to Hashem. Just like some of the Chosei B'Tshuva, they need the computer programs that fit into the Torah, that if every 10th word equals this, and every 100th word equals that, and that proves something, 1,000 years later. And once they get all those different computer printouts and all the Kamatyas, they're convinced that there's some endless to it. And my answer is, I never read all these computer printouts and everything. I'm convinced now. If that helps you, fine with me. That's the way Hashem made a lot of people.
Right? As long as it works.
Because
Get them close to Hashem. That's what we want.
God, Tabnis, HaKodesh HaOyom, the Seder, Pirkei, HaMerkah, and all the Tabnis HaKodesh. Tabnis,
So we're called Tavnis HaKavod. This is going higher now. Tavnis is the structure, HaKavod of the kavod. That's a certain reference to a spiritual level.
the higher level. say that.
So what was Tavnis again?
Tavnis is like, you have this
Structure?
The structure, yeah. The whole Tavnis of cover, the whole structure of that which is called cover, honor, glory, Elyon, or upper glory. The whole structure of the upper glory. The Seder, according to the arrangement, the Pirkei HaMarkava, that is listed there in the Pirkei HaMarkava, which are those sections which teach us about the. We read yesterday on Shavuos about Yehezkel, his vision that he saw. That has to do a lot with the
What's the correct definition of Merkava?
Merkava chariot.
Oh yeah, I know. Turkey and Merkava, that's the chariot of heaven, chariot of
So
glory.
Pirkei Mashav, it's referring to a certain section of Limud that includes those things having to do with the Merkava.
Isn't Pirkei the details?
Well, that's pratim. That's pratim.
Oh.
That's
Parak is like the chapter.
Yes.
The chapter of the Merkava, which is, Merkava, the definition is about the chariot of heaven, someone in the being went up in the chariot, things like that. So they explain this parak, this chapter, these in there.
Yeah. I haven't learned it, so I can't tell you too much about it.
Well, we're taking it for granted. We call HaKodesh, Ratim, Nimtzah, Olamos, Elyonim, the Tachtonim. I know that all the Kochos, the strengths, the Ratim of details, all the what? Ratim and all the details.
Right.
So what's the Kochos HaPratim?
V'kol hakoychos hapratim hanimtzoyim v'kol ha'olamos ha'olyonim v'atachtonim, and all the forces, all the detailed forces. You have gravitational force, you have magnetic force, you have electrical force, right? All the koychos hapratim, all the detailed forces, hanimtzoyim, that are found, v'kol ha'olamos, in all the worlds, upper and lower. In all the upper and lower worlds. So it's referring to all the forces, all the detailed forces which are found in the upper and lower worlds. Right? That's included in men. In Adam, it's included.
Very nice. He's introducing Taftonim. He's including Taftonim.
Yes.
Until now he didn't.
No.
It was only Elyon.
Right. Also the lower. This is rock bottom. This was rock bottom.
Kulam.
Does that mean it includes Gehenna?
I'm not sure.
Because you're just talking about the physical.
I think the physical. I'm not sure it's referring to that.
Kulam. Nosno Koch. Bechelek. Ham. Atz. Amoso. Vinyon. Kulam Nosno Koch. Each one of these Kochos have given energy. Bechelek. That's also a part of their essential, or their essence.
Right. That all these worlds have given Adam portions of, and have incorporated in him, right, portions of their essence, and they've gone into the formation of Adam.
Binyan is in this building it in this creation. Lulu, Bo, the Bispar, Karate, Chasab, Shemo.
Right, included in them.
Both Bispar, a number of Kratim detail, Chasab, Shemo, of the energy that they have. If we use the word energy, then we're making it into a very modern Kabbalistic concept, because they all talk about the different energies that Hashem created, different energies of man. Is that a standard explanation? The word energy, or that kind of modern term?
The force, energy,
What?
Powers.
These are just terms that we use that we understand. But this is that Hashem created. Why not?
Well, we said in the beginning that Hashem, the name Elohim, is the connotation of the master of Kochos,
right.
and we translated it as the master of powers.
Powers.
Okay, now we will.
Okay, we continue on, leave the bottom part and go to the next
So what
page.
does this mean?
Yeah.
Included in him
Never liked it.
is the number of the details of the powers.
Right.
What does that mean?
It means that Adam has been, one of the ways we understand the necessity of creating Adam last was that everything, whatever it is that had been created previously, is giving into Adam part of his essence, that Adam should not simply be the last creation, but he's a sum total of all creation. Like that everything, all the details of all the powers and worlds and everything that had been created is now going into the creation of Adam as well.
Did Adam lose some of these powers in creation?
No.
When he was made, Gan Eden, he didn't lose.
So he fell from his madrega of perfection,
Okay.
right? But in terms of what he's created, what his makeup is, his structure is, they remain. They remains the same. But now, as we had been learning, and we'll learn again, that now incorporated into to this perfection was Ra, was evil.
So what's the nafkamina? What would it be if that last statement wasn't true?
Let's approach your question like this. There's a big difference if something is an independent creation, or it's something which is created out of something else, meaning the sum total, but it's even more than that. When you look at it in a deeper way, HaKodesh Baruch Hu, as we know, created everything Yesh Mi'ayin, right? Apparently, from what we're learning here, Adam was not created Yesh Mi'ayin. Adam was created Yesh Mi'yesh.
All the previous color?
All the previous sources going, everything was created previously, right, is now going into the creation of man. Even according to the Medrash, which just takes this pashtus, that the simplicity was that Hashem gathered Adam is Afar min Adam, he's the dust from the earth, right? So the Medrash explains that HaKodesh Baruch Hu took Afar, so to speak, from all corners of the world, and brought all that archaic of all that dust to form the body of Adam Arisha, right? So even at that point, he's Yesh V'Yesh, right? But that's just the physical body of Adam Arisha. But what about all the koichas? I mean, whenever all the things that are going on within us are forces which have connections to things which have been previously existing. Right? So that's a whole different attitude than if something was a created Yesh Mi'ayin.
So which is the accepted approach?
Again, like it says Afar min Adam. I mean, again, even you can't deny the pasuk that Adam is Afar min Adam. So even according to that pasuk, Adam is Yesh V'Yesh.
So I think we're referring to two sides of it. There's brokenness and cosmos.
But it's all the worlds that we can't see, and all the things that we don't, that we think. It's obvious we don't see everything.
When it does.
So it's beyond. So the Ishbitzer Rebbe says that's what Hashem is saying when he says, "Let us create man." Hashem's referring to all these, which end up being who we
all
are.
These
Worlds upon worlds that we can't even imagine. We can't even.
Run into the creation of man. Mm-hmm. And that refers to the spiritual as well as the physical. Mm-hmm.
And then also, as the whole direction of the Sefer is to bring us back to what we call human responsibility. I mean, a person is not just an independent operator here. He is like, since he is a composite of everything, right? And not only does it have ramifications to his to his own actions, but as we learned previously, he's still connected to all those things, right? So his success is the success of all those other facets of the universe as well. He's not just an independent
All
player
that
here.
what went into him is influencing his behavior in the future.
It's influencing him, but more than that, more than the influence that these, but his success is a success of all those other forces and elements which have been created, and now went also into his conglomerate creation of his own self as well. His success is a success of the whole. He's like a representative of the whole universe, spiritual and physical. So when we say that Adam is a macrocosm, as a microcosm, right? That's basically what we can be referring to here, and more interpretation of what we're learning here. That he's a microcosm of the whole physical and spiritual universe, because he contains all those aspects and elements and forces that go into the whole physical and spiritual creation.
What does that say about the situation we have in the world where there's so much going on? So let's say it's a failure, those powers are failing.
They're being misused, they're being misdirected.
Right?
Which
Says
is
he's successful, they're all successful.
Yeah, right.
So if he's not successful, does that imply if he's not successful, they're all not successful?
I would say.
Is this similar? Does this refer a little bit to Masa about similar to all the which is not exactly what I was saying here, but it's sort of, in my mind, it sort of has the same gather that all previous Kochot went into Adam, and all previous generations are benefiting today from others. I see some similarity.
You have this parallel. It's a parallel concept. Yeah, it's a parallel concept, I would say, that Ma'isa Avasim Labanim, that what the forefathers had done, we have a capability of fulfilling in our own way what they did as well.
We're benefiting also.
We were benefiting from that.
So man is yesh v'yesh. What about animals? Are they yesh v'ayin?
Apparently, I mean, without going into too many details, the cow was created as a cow, right? The eagle was created as an eagle, and it has singular purpose. An eagle is unique, like in its ability to fly, something which a fish doesn't possess, an animal doesn't possess. And that's a particular koyach that it happens to have.
But maybe it's the same idea. We got the car from previous generations.
Well, we're talking about the original. We're talking about the original eagle that HaKodesh created. Yeah. So we have when Hashem said that there were going to be such a thing as eagles, right? So where did they get their purpose? The question was, are there also yesh v'ayin, or is there yesh v'yesh as well? I mean, going back even to the very first Rashi, see, when you're looking at the psukim.
All the animals created from nothing, or were they going back to previous animals that Hashem created in previous worlds? Adam, we say, was based on the previous cosmos and previous world, and all the best details. Does that apply to the animal kingdom? So concluding it does not apply to the animal kingdom?
Because they're not the cosmic color. So that they're not in the position, we're in the position of making tikkun. We talked about that last time, the concept of tikkun we were talking about. It's our job. Our job is tikkun our life. It's actually to heal the whole world. It's actually to The animals don't have the same function. They're part of the story, but they're not the having fun.
Sounds good. Tikkun Olam, does that come after we're masaking ourselves?
I think the way I see it is that the two things are the same thing. It's not that I'm trying to get rewards from me. It's that I'm trying to just clean up my little area. No, it's that everyone has a responsibility for all of it. Each one of us has a responsibility for the whole career. Every time the tikkun that one makes, what one assumes is only for oneself, it isn't. It's actually affecting everything.
Okay.
Some people take Tikkun Olam out of place and they say that's very important. It's not your personal behavior, your personal observance. You're here for Tikkun Olam. I know well-meaning people, they do a lot of Chesed and Tzedakah, for them it's Tikkun Olam, but it's nothing to do with their personal.
I don't understand that.
I know there are organizations that for them Tikkun Olam is the priority, nothing to do with Hashem's services.
Trying to get into an understanding of the Bria, so what the Psukim are teaching us over here. Now, the description of the Torah as given in the Torah of the Bria Olam, you have to realize that this is the narrative that HaKodesh Baruch Hu gave to Moshe Rabbeinu to transfer to Klal Yisrael. Right now, Rashi says here, you have it there on the second column.
What line?
Let's see, Kamosha, the third, right. So there was six, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 line. In came. Tamea Atzma. We're picking up in the middle of a question Rashi is dealing with, right? Im Kain Tamea Atzma. You should have a question on you. Should question on yourself. Shari Hamayim Kadmu. The water was first. Shahari Kasiv Ruach Elokim Niskarapis Al Peyamayim. You take a look that the pasuk says on a pasuk base. Right, V'aretz hayis ha'torevo v'choshech al pnei hamayim v'ruach elokim ma'atevefes al pnei hamayim. Right, v'adayin lo gila hamikra b'sidur hakodmim u'ma'achorim klum brias hamayim. And now, in terms of the seder, the arrangement of the psukim, the Torah has not included any hint of the creation of the water. Now you have two psukim, in order we're talking about that there's an existent water here, right? So my Isa, from where did it come? Halamanata, this teaches you, Shekadmu Hamayim La'aretz. It's obviously teaching you that the water was there previous to the Aretz. The water was there previous to the land, right? Well, and not only that, Shashamayim Me'esh Umayim Nivru. Not only that the Shemayim itself, right, is created from Eish and Mayim. Nivru. Al Korchacha, you must say, therefore, Lo Yumed Amikra V'Seda Domim Machronim Klum. Therefore, you must say that the arrangement of the verses are not teaching you anything about the time sequence of the events themselves, whether which came first and which came after them, right? So This is a description. The Torah is giving us a description, right, of what we need to know of how HaKodesh Baruch Hu wants us to know, right, the description of how the world was created, right? It's not supposed to be a time-bound, sequential understanding of what actually took place in terms of the creation of the world. It's not a recipe book for creating the world here. So when you have what's relevant for us is what we're being taught. What are we supposed to learn from what we're being taught? The Torah is teaching us something. Every word in the Torah is teaching us something. So we need to learn from the way that the Torah is, as Rashi says, is Gila, the revelation of the Torah, how it's revealed to us, right? What do we learn from the way that it's revealed to us? Right? What actually happened is another thing completely apart from what the Torah is teaching us. What the Torah is teaching us is what Hashem wants us to know about it, right? Of what's completely really unable for us to know. We have no way of knowing what happened then, right? No way of knowing what happened then. Right? It's humanly impossible, right?
So there's something about this sequence and this flow of words that teaches us something that we don't know what?
No, we can. What we're supposed to know from this sequence of words is what HaKodesh wants us to know, right? And what's necessary for us to know about that Hashem created the world, that's what we have to know. That's what Hashem wants us to know. That's what's contained within these words here. What actually happened, right? That's something else.
And where does this Aish come from that Rashi mentions?
Oh, so that's based on something, because the word Shemayim contains Aish and Mayim, right? There's a whole way of understanding, like, you know, what took place. I mean, again, you have this is the Torah Shpitzav, you have Torah Bapeh, which goes into a lot more details about these things. So Rashi is basing the fact that we have the understanding that Shemayim is made from water and fire.
It's interesting because fire, water, and light are all different kinds of energy. It seems like there's an emphasis here on energy. I don't know what that's supposed to teach us, but
Yeah, I mean, again, there's not. I mean, water in and of itself, like if water.
if you view water as mamish water,
Mhm.
it's not.
Right.
But if you view it as fluid,
Yeah.
fluidity,
Oh, so
then that's a property of energy.
yeah, I mean, that's the symbolism idea. The Aish is symbolic of heat or light,
Right.
both. Right. So you have the symbolic understandings of it as well. Yeah. There's the whole way of understanding it in different ways. So when you come to the aspect of Adam, so I mean you have a side question. If there's no lo limit hamikra beseder hakedoimim machlorim klum. The Torah, let's say put it this way, the verses, the arrangements of the verses are not relevant to the sequencing first and last in any way whatsoever. Right? So if that's the case, how are we supposed to take seriously that Adam was created last or not? What does it mean Yom Shishi? Yom Shishi said Yom Shishi. Is that supposed to necessarily come before Yom Kamishi or not?
I would think you'd have to say that yes. But that order, that part of it is the order
So,
of the Torah.
so if the order is made, if it's telling you that this is Yom Shishi, right, that's what, I mean, again, why should we have to know that this is Yom Shishi, right? Why is it relevant that the Torah should tell us this is Yom Rishon, this is Yom Shem, Yom Shlishi? What's it relevant to? Right? So, basic relevance.
That's a very good difficulty.
And what do you mean?
Well, because if you talk about the conflict between science and Torah, so a lot of it has to do with these statements of what day it was and what order things happen, which don't match scientific theory. So if we're saying, well, it's not really to teach us the order, then fine, but
Rashi says?
why isn't why isn't it making it look so much like it is teaching us the order?
Okay, well,
Count 1, 2, 3, 4. That kind of implies an order.
yeah, it implies, you're right, it implies an order. Whether or not, I mean, we have to understand a little bit more deeply Rashi's statement. What does it mean that there is no order? Even in spite of the fact that Rashi knows that it says Yom Shishom, Yom Sheni, Yom Shlishi, it says these things, right? So,
And we have drashas that talk about, I think you were talking earlier about the drasha in the previous shur that talks about the fact that Adam was last and the significance of the fact that he was last.
right. So how do we know what Adam is last? So it could be, besides the fact that the psukim, right, really indicate that he was last, right? But again, that doesn't have to be necessarily the case, right? But we could know from other ways that Adam was really, in fact, last. I mean, so a basic understanding of Rashi is don't try and transpose a time sequence on these verses in the Torah. Don't transpose time sequence into these verses. These are not bound by time sequence.
Well, you could say he's last because it says that Hashem put all the animals in front of him and he named them.
So you understand from that the
Therefore, they had to be there first. Is that what you mean?
It was placed in the Gan. So the Gan was there, but previous, and none was placed into the Gan.
Right.
So you understand from a lot of other psukim, you can determine that Adam in fact was last. Okay, we'll have to stop and sort of in the middle here, but